Hello, everyone. This is Brandon Oliveris with Co-Creation Coaching, and today I am doing a video about basically how to apply this effortless manifestation process I've been talking about for the past 5 videos, I think. And so for that, I wanted to bring on a volunteer, and Robert was kind enough to volunteer for this. So what we're going to be doing
Thanks for
today, yeah. So what we're going to be doing today is he's going to tell us what he wants to apply this to, what issue is going on, and I'm going to walk him through pretty quickly. It's not going to be like a normal session because I don't want to carry it on for a whole hour, but we're going to quickly go through and apply this process, and you can see how it really works in everyday life. And I think if you see it in one example, it really works for any other example. So if you haven't seen my other videos about this process, you can do that, or you can see kind of firsthand how it's going to work here. So Robert, can you kind of tell us what exactly you want to be applying this to? What's going on?
Can it apply towards a mix of like relationships and career,
Yeah, I
or does
mean,
it have to be specifically like me, like just an individual?
it doesn't have to be super specific, just something that we can kind of hone in on and feel, get a little bit specific. Tell me what it is, and then we can go
Okay.
from there.
All right. Well, just to give everyone an idea of what's going on, I for the past 4 years I've been in a intensive nursing program in a university in the East Coast. And last semester, I sort of came to a crossroads where, first of all, going into nursing wasn't something that I really wanted for myself. It was more of like, I need to do this in order to sustain myself economically. And there was a lot of like, it was just like, I have to do something. So nursing is like a quick path, and it'll give me a good salary, and I'll be able to like basically survive. But it wasn't what I loved, and it wasn't something that I sincerely wanted to do from my heart. So at the same time, I had music going on, and I started taking lessons again a few semesters ago, and sort of with the music path, it just kept growing, and my love for music kept growing, and I just loved it. I just wanted to keep doing it. So I had a decision to make. I'm a senior in college, and so like I decided ultimately that I didn't want to continue with nursing, and I wanted to change my path. Um, and so I did, and I changed my major a few days ago, and now I'm in the music program, and I'm hoping to go into music therapy. And so the problem that this leads to is that my parents aren't fully aware of this. I somehow miraculously kept it from them entire winter break. So like what I'm incredibly stressed about is telling them this, and I, I mean like I want things to ultimately work out. So that's where I am. I could either do that, or the other piece is the money piece, because I'm in debt. And ultimately I'm gonna be in more debt than I would have if I kept with nursing. So there are two things. It's like the
Okay,
approval
so
from
they're
my
sort of
parents,
tied
and
together,
then the
right?
money and the debt, and like getting a salary, getting a job in the
Okay.
future, and like so
Well, we will
complicated.
kind of just start and see how it takes us, and if we can get
Okay.
through both things, that'd be awesome. Okay. First of all, I really want to commend you for paying attention to how you feel. I think so few people are actually doing that and saying, like, yeah, at first you did like what people would say is the logical thing, and you took the nursing, which has the money, but your heart wasn't in it, and it's only so long before you can, it's only so long that you can do that and not regret it. I was
Yeah.
talking to someone, it was several months ago, but she's like in her almost 50 years old, I think. And she's like, I wish I would have gone with, my dreams decades ago. And you don't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
So I think that's a wonderful thing. I mean, it would have,
Thank
your
you.
guidance is there for a reason. I mean, it would have only gotten worse. I mean, imagine if you would have been graduated and taking the courses
Yeah.
to
It
become
was pretty bad.
certified.
I mean, there were points in last semester where I was like, if I continued with this path, there's
Yeah,
really no reason to live. I'm going to
right,
hate my life.
right,
I'm going to keep doing things I don't want to do in order to
right.
keep doing things I don't want to do. So it's like, why even want to live at that point?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're here to experience, to enjoy experience. I mean, you have to fight more and more against yourself the more you go on the path you don't really want to
Yeah,
go.
for sure.
So all right, so step one of this process is making peace with what is. Okay, and so we see a lot of not doing that when you talk about your parents and being
Oh,
stressed about what they're going to say, and you're going to be in more debt, and oh my gosh,
like,
and yeah. So the first step is to soften that. The first step, okay, you are where you are, right? You made the decision, which, like I said, awesome job. And now you have some stuff ahead of you, which looks kind of scary.
yeah.
And you're thinking, could kind of end up not so good, potentially. And so that's scary. So the first step, they always say, is, we're going to take this emotional journey, go within, feel that discomfort,
Okay.
and surrender to it. Because you're going around your days um, with this feeling of resistance, this feeling of I don't want this to happen. So the first thing you do is just to surrender, just to stop fighting it.
All right.
And immediately when you do that, you can tell me, but you're going to probably experience relief.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's what resistance is. We fight against these things, these thoughts, these ideas, which by the way aren't real because you haven't actually told your parents yet. You're not in greater debt yet. They're stories, and Robert, I know just from personal experience, you are familiar with like the Eastern teachings. This is like,
Yeah.
what the Hindus would call Maya. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's the illusory stories the mind is telling, and you're
Yeah.
believing it, right?
And you're not
So
even. I'm not even aware of the fact that they are
exactly.
stories.
Right. They're so
Like reality in my
convincing.
mind.
Yeah, they're so convincing, and so that's the first step. Is oh yeah, these are stories. I can let them be there. Okay, my mind wants to think that right now, but I can stop fighting it.
Okay.
And like you experience, you're going to have immediate relief when you do that. Okay. As you do that, the second step is it's going to be a lot easier to detach and see them as stories. And can you see right now that as you experience that relief, just by doing a simple little thing that took like 2 seconds, that they are actually just stories your mind is telling, not necessarily true.
Sort of. I think I'm progressively
Right,
getting there.
right.
Um,
So what you're going to do, you
it's
know,
hard to completely let go, but yeah.
but this is a progressive thing, right? And you might not get from 0 to 100 today. It's hard to. I always say, like, if you're driving 70 miles per hour down the road and you want to turn around, you don't just take a U-turn at 70 miles per hour where you're
Yeah.
going to spin out. You got to slow down. And so this is the slowing down process, and it
Yeah.
takes a little bit of time.
It's easier with the money piece because I just think with my parents it's just more complicated. But with the money piece, it's like like other things can happen, other
Mhm.
opportunities could come up. So easier
Very
with the
quick,
money.
yeah, very quick story. I don't know if you knew this. I actually did not finish college, and it was a big thing for me because my mother always, she didn't go to college. She was always harping about how important it was for me to go to college and graduate. And when I had to tell her, first of all, I had this big thing about being a failure for it, and I didn't think she was going to accept it, and I was actually really surprised by how. And I'm not. I mean, every situation is different, but I'm just saying sometimes we can be surprised by how people react. Like I
Were
told
you
her,
surprised in a good way or a bad
I
way?
was surprised in a good way. She's like,
Oh wow.
"Okay, I understand, and you can do your own thing. You've always been that way." Like she was told, and we went out to dinner, and like everything was
That's
just fine.
great.
So
Were you expecting that? No.
no, not at all.
I
I
thought she was
mean,
gonna kill you or something.
I mean, she's always been very supportive, but that was always her thing. Is I'm going to go to college, I'm going to finish college, I'm going to get a good job, and so she wanted me to get a government job, like doing programming or something. Like that was her dream for me, and it wasn't my dream for me. And
Mhm.
so what I want, and it might not be right now, but what I want you to do progressively, and we can probably make a little progress on this right now, is to watch that story and let yourself detach from it a bit. Continue to let go when you feel the tenseness, like in your emotional state.
Yeah.
Just continue to release, continue to surrender. It's sort of like the Taoist idea of like non-action, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this
Continuously.
idea has been expressed in a lot of ways,
Yeah,
but
it has, but this
yeah,
is what it is. And one of the ironic things about law of attraction is, in order to have control, you must let go of control. That sounds so Taoist.
it's an it, you is it it sounds like an act of faith.
It is. It is. So you have to let go, and you have to say to yourself, basically, all right, my mind is telling these stories. I have no idea if it's true. Even if you can admit to yourself, if it's not 100% true, maybe you can admit 5% doubt in this story. But that's 5% you didn't have before. And that 5%, if you focus on that doubt that the story might not be true, and you experience relief because maybe I'm wrong, maybe it could go differently. And if remember, whatever you focus on expands. So if you focus on that doubt, it will keep growing. So that's what I want you to do as I'm talking here. Just keep focusing on that uncertainty. Maybe it won't go the way I think it will. Maybe I won't be in a huge amount of debt. Maybe they won't freak out. You
Okay.
don't have to find ways. But this is the major part of the work. And allow
I'm
yourself.
starting to feel better. The
Yeah,
tension is dissolving a little bit.
you see how
So
that works. It's just a little, and it was just a story that you were telling yourself that isn't true right at this moment because they don't know yet.
yeah,
And remember that when you go in, like, it's all about your own inner state that's going to dictate the whole thing. If you're in a good place, that you're really not in a match you're not at a vibrational match of uh, being disapproved of and all that, like, then that's not going to happen to you. Like, at the most they might say, well, I don't know why you're doing this, but I respect you. You know what I mean? Like, that wouldn't be so
yeah,
bad, right?
yeah.
So that's what this work is, just allowing that doubt to creep in, that maybe this story isn't 100% true, and being the witness. You are familiar with mindfulness, and just, allowing yourself to watch these feelings, watch these emotions, let it go. And pretty soon you're going to be feeling at peace,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
I think that'll affect the way that I speak
Right.
in
Right.
actual conversation.
Right. And if you go in and you're scared to death and you're like, oh my gosh, but and you try to give a whole big explanation. I've done this. You give a whole
Yeah,
big
yeah,
explanation and then, oh, by the way, I changed my major. Like,
and it's because of this, which is
yeah, you give this whole life story, and you think if you talk long enough, they're just going to be like, okay.
they're
But
not going to understand.
right, but if you go in like that, they're going to react one way. But if you go in confident and not having to justify yourself, then it's going to be completely different. And the same for the money thing, just so we get both issues here. Like, if you go forward and you say, okay, it's not an absolute certainty I'll be in greater debt. Like, maybe at first, but maybe, who knows what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
things can happen. And that's all you need to know. And just having that awareness and softening that resistance and letting go and surrendering every time that resistance comes up. That's what this work is.
Okay.
Okay, how are you feeling right now?
Um, definitely better.
Awesome.
Definitely, and
So
more at ease. Is
good.
do I need to focus at all on the thing that, like the positive, the opposite of that negative story
We're
at all,
getting
or
there.
is it more of just like surrendering
Right
and
now, it's surrendering. Like,
okay,
step one is the vital step. Like, you could just do this, and because the universe knows what it is you do want, like, all you're doing right now is removing the obstacles to what you want to come into your reality. Okay, it really requires very little effort to actually get it to manifest into reality if you don't have those obstacles. So this is actually the most important. And what I recommend is doing this, if it takes a day, if it takes a week, like doing this for several minutes a day or whenever it comes up until you're at least about halfway or more to that openness, to feeling good about this.
Okay.
And then I find you can start to shift it around, but you have to play around with this. It's sort of trial and error.
Okay. All right. I'll
So,
focus on that then for now.
right. This is just focusing on what if it's not necessarily true? What if my mind, what if the story isn't gospel? You know what I mean? What if this isn't absolutely 100% true?
Yeah.
And freeing yourself of that web of delusion. Okay?
Okay.
And so once you do that, step 2 is finding the vibrational essence of your desire, okay, of your manifestation. And so what a lot of people do, and I've mentioned this in the other videos, but what a lot of people do is they will try to visualize, they will try to affirm, they will try to, do all these processes to tell the universe what they want. All you actually have to do is focus on the emotion of the manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So what will you feel? Let's say you walk in and you tell your parents and they celebrate you and they are happy for you being true to yourself. You know what I mean? What is that going to feel like?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's so, oh my God. It would feel so wonderful.
Right. And so what you're actually seeking for. See, if you felt that
I just
wonderful
want us to
feeling,
be okay with each other. I just want us to I don't want to hurt them, and I don't want them
right,
to hurt my dream either. I want us to
right.
be in harmony.
So let's say, best case scenario, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're following your dreams and, whatever. And it doesn't have to be what actually happens. What we're actually going for is the feeling. Now,
Yeah.
if you felt this wonderful feeling and you weren't, like right now, and you weren't afraid of losing it, and I'm guaranteeing you wouldn't care what they said. Can you see that? Like if you were secure enough in your own state and in your wonderful feeling that you weren't afraid of losing it because of what someone else says, you wouldn't care what happened when you walked in there. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be such a big deal. Do you see that?
I see that idea there.
Yeah.
So only thing is that joyous and happy feeling is because of this thought of something that they might say to me. You know?
But see, the way that manifestation works, the universe responds to your emotions. See, what you're doing is you're saying, I will feel good if they respond in this way. And until then, I'm going to worry. And what the universe hears is worry, 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 worry. So all we can do is give him something that makes him worry. Okay? That's what the universe is hearing. It's not hearing this condition. You can't get what you're not having yourself, what you're not holding yourself. So what you need to do is open up to this wonderful feeling, and you don't even need to name it. I don't care what the feeling is called, but the feeling of being approved, the feeling of knowing you're on the right path, the feeling of security that everything will go well no matter what. Opening up to that feeling. Okay, and that's why we do step 1 first. Now, if this is hard right now, that's okay. That's why you keep doing step 1.
Yeah.
But if you have enough of that openness and you can feel that, and your mind doesn't immediately jump in and say, what if it's not true? If it does that, what if it's not true thing, go back to trying to just surrender. Okay? But if you can just feel that, at least a little bit, it doesn't have to be like an overwhelming, oh my gosh, this is an amazing type of feeling. but just allowing that feeling a bit.
Okay.
And allowing it to come and not forcing it. And that is going to change things around completely. Because once you have the emotion, then the universe sees, okay, he feels secure. So I'm going to give him things that feel secure.
Wow.
Right? So do you see like this kind of the self-perpetuating cycle you put yourself in, that when you say, I can't feel good unless they approve of me, but the universe only sees worrying about approval, and it can only give you what you're putting out. So that you have to break that cycle. You have to break that feedback loop and say, okay, no matter what, I'm going to decide, and I'm going to open up to feeling good today.
All right. And
Do you
not be
understand
so
that?
attached to a particular result that I'm.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You want everything to go well.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
of course.
like,
I'm
you want
human.
everything to go well. You want to have money in your life. You don't want to be in debt. You want to have a good relationship with your parents. I'm not saying you have to be a Buddhist monk and be completely,
Detached from
be
everything.
completely detached from all things. What I'm saying is that when you make peace with what is, and when you open up to the feeling, what I'm saying is you make that more important than what you observe out there in the world. And then that will take care of itself. Okay, and that's why we do the step one, surrendering, to make room, to break this feedback loop and create a new one. Because once you feel secure, once you feel good, you're going to start getting things in your life which feel secure and which feel good to you.
Yeah.
And then you can start responding to what you observe even more and more. Because you can say, oh, look, now, there's something that makes me feel good. There's something that makes me feel secure. And I can celebrate that. And that gets even bigger because I'm seeing
Yeah.
it, and
It
it
feeds off of
reaffirms
itself.
it. Yes. So you have to break this old feedback loop, break this negative feedback loop, and create a positive feedback loop that creates the feeling you want.
The
That's the
whole
process.
universe thing responding to whatever emotion or vibration I'm putting out. This is
Yeah.
something I can definitely trust, right?
Oh yeah. I,
Yeah.
I mean I've done it. Like, I've seen it work in my life. I've seen crazy things happen. I mean,
Yeah.
but see, here's the thing. If you're saying that, you're not quite letting go.
I know. I know. I'm
Go
just.
back and let go, and then say, all right, I'm good. Now I can just, okay, look at
No,
it
I'm
like
on the outside
this.
looking in. You know.
Right. Look at it like this. It's a want versus a need. If you're needing this, go back to and surrender more. Keep
Okay.
letting go. Um, if you're wanting this, like how, you're a musician, if you play a song, if you learn a new piece, and I mean, besides doing it because, your teacher assigns it to you, but if let's say you just learn a new piece because you're
Yeah.
really interested in it,
Something that because it's something I'm interested in, and that.
right? Do you
All right.
need that piece, or do you want that piece? Do you see?
Um. Want.
Right. You know,
But I would have to say, being a musician, you want it so much that you couldn't
yes,
self
but
not
it's not a life or death thing where, oh my gosh, I am going to suffer, and if I don't have this. This is something I have joy when I think about having this.
yeah.
Do you see the difference versus when you think about your parents and you feel that terror? That's not a creative thing. That's a problem oriented thing.
Okay. Well, that's where
So
I've been this whole time. So,
right. So you want to keep going back to that surrender.
step one.
Keep going back to step one. Let it go. Let it go, and just say to yourself, all right, I'm here. My mind's telling me a story that I don't know if it's true. Let me let go of that, and then come back and open up to the emotion. What would it be like? Just purely for creative reasons, or at least mostly purely. I'm not asking for perfection, but what would it be like to feel that emotion of security? What would it be like to feel that emotion of wonderfulness, of just feeling good, of being approved, of being on the right path, of belonging? And just let yourself go there in the emotions. and maybe see where in your life you're already experiencing that. Maybe there's an area in your life where you feel secure, where you feel pretty good, and you can kind of use that to feed off of this,
Yeah.
to grow this. That's the process.
Okay. Thank you.
So how do you feel about how are you feeling right now? I know it's, like I said, it's hard to take a complete U-turn when you're feeling pretty awful about it, but are you seeing a little bit of light that you can kind of start to slow down that negative momentum, break that feedback loop? And
I do. I feel like I have some measure of control
yeah,
over this, and I don't have to be so um, worried all the time.
right,
It's helping. It's slowly getting there.
right. And so what I would recommend quickly, what I'd recommend is taking a few minutes, every day. And I know this thing with your parents is coming up soon, but taking a few minutes every day and just purely letting go for the sake of letting go, because it feels really good to let go.
Okay.
And letting yourself untie the knots of those stories a little bit. And if you, when a thought comes up where you're thinking about what am I going to do, and you feel that, recognize you're doing it. Recognize that's the negative feedback loop, and don't go there. Okay, as best, don't push it, but just recognize it and let it go. Recognize it and surrender to it, and say, all right, I see you. I don't have to believe you. I don't have to go with you. I don't have to engage in you. And the more you do that, it's a habit. It creates a habit in yourself, where before you had the habit of worrying about this, now you're going to break that habit.
So the motivation is just to feel good and to do it
Exactly.
for the sake of doing it, not to get
Exactly.
from point A to point B.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's exactly it. And you'll
So
see
being
that.
happy now as opposed to in
Yeah,
the future when I get it.
exactly. People say, oh, when I get that, I'll be happy. Well, why not be happy now? And then you'll be more likely to get it. Because no matter what it is, like what cool thing you want out there, no matter how convincing it is, it seems that it will make your life wonderful for the rest of eternity, it's not going to be the thing. There's always going to be something else. Okay, now I have that, but now I need this next thing. And now I have that, but now I need this next thing. It's an endless cycle.
So tell me, what's the one thing throughout that whole trajectory that one should like focus on? Like you can't focus on everything that could potentially happen in the future that could make you feel good, but throughout all of that, like what should a person keep their mind like attuned to? Is it just the feeling
Start
of
with the feeling.
it doesn't have to be specific, it's
No,
just
it shouldn't be specific until you're ready to be specific. And what might happen as you get into the emotion is you might have memories of when you felt like that. You might have ideas, you might think about, like, fantasize what would it be like when that happens. And that happened, but don't force, like, don't plan it, don't force the action journey. Just let it
right.
come. Focus on the emotions and look around your life and, okay, where in my life do I see this? Do I see evidence of this somewhere? Even if it's not in this specific area of life, it's just the emotion you're going after. Yes, the emotion is the key to all this.
Okay, that was
So,
what
right, but the most generic, like the most general emotion is peace, and so that's what you're going after with step one, peace.
the less
Okay.
things and the less complications the better.
Right.
So that
Right.
works. Yeah.
And then once you have the peace and you see that light, that ray of light, and it's getting bigger and brighter, then you start to move towards the emotion.
All right.
And you let it happen naturally. If it takes a day, if it takes a week, if it takes, you know what I mean? You just let it go and you keep doing it.
Okay.
So do you understand this?
Yeah.
And you feel pretty good about this?
Yeah, I do.
All right, awesome. So to everyone else, I hope that this made sense to everyone. If you have questions or comments, as always, please leave comments on this video, or you can go to my website at www.cocreationcoaching.org. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I thank you for watching and have a great day.